guys, let's see the second part of interface. So multiple interface is applicable in Java, so we can implement the multiple interface into the Java. So how to implement, we will see with a demonstration. So first, here the two scenarios are considered. First is we can create the two individual interfaces, suppose I1 and I2, and I1 and I2 are simultaneously implemented into the class. So that is the first scenario. So this one. And second, we can extend the interface from the another interface. That means suppose I1 is interface available, and if I create another interface with the name I2, but at that time I extend the I1 to the I2. That means we are making a relationship between the I1 and I2. That is a easier relationship. So interface to interface extends is possible, and class to class extends is possible, and class to interface implements is possible. So this is the way how we implement interface and classes. Now look here, the by default method inside the interface are public and abstract, and fields, that means data members, we can define into the interface, but by default those are public, static and final. So if you want to define any data member inside the interface, so by default it is a static and final, so we have to define it, and final means we have to initialize the value at the time of declaration. In a recent version of Java, that is Java 8 and onwards, static and default methods are applicable inside the interface. That means in interface, the older versions, only method declaration is possible. That means stack methods are possible, but now in a recent versions, static method implementation and default method implementation is possible. So we will see one by one what is the exact how to implement static and default methods, and how we implement multiple interfaces with the demonstration. Okay, let's see the demo. So suppose I create an interface I1, so here I create suppose f1 as a function. Now I create a second interface, f2. Okay, and here I have a class, that is my class. Okay, and now just look here, we will see first scenario, multiple interface. Class can implement multiple interfaces but cannot extend the multiple classes. That means multiple inheritance is not possible, but multiple interface implementation is possible. So you can implement the multiple interfaces, and using multiple interface implementation we can achieve the multiple inheritance also. Okay, so just see how to do this. So suppose here I want to implement it, implements I1, and I want to use I2 also, so give a comma and then I2. Okay, so what is the rule of interface implementation is, when you are implementing interface, so we have to override the methods which is available in I1. So how many methods are available? That is first one, void f1, and this also I want to implement it, so that's why in I2 how many methods are there? Only one, that is void f2, and that we have to implement here, otherwise it shows me error because methods are public and abstract. So just move the cursor on this, look here, the type class must implement inherited abstract method I1 f1, and this is the first error. So we'll just click on this, add unimplemented methods, so it will add the f2 also and f1 also. Okay, so method overriding is completed from the interface, that is through the interface implementation. Now error is gone. Okay, so for a testing I will write here system dot out dot. Okay. So this is f2. This is f1. Okay, so in a testing class you just create an object. Close this. So to create an object, so we can create an object like this. It's my class which is equal to new my class, and then obj.f1 and obj.f2. so it is a straightforward combination. I just run the code and I get an output. Look here inside the my class f1 and f2. So it is multiple interface implementation. So only the rule is we have to use a implements keyword, and here we can use a i1 and i2. So when we are using an interface, implements keyword is used, and when we use a class, here extend keywords is used. So extend, suppose this is the class name 1 is available, so in this way also we can do. Okay, so now here class name whatever class is, it is not available, that's what is showing me error. But this combination also possible. Class extends class and implements interface 1 interface 2. So multiple interface implementation is possible. But if we try to do like this, suppose class name class 2 is available and we are trying extend class 1 comma class 2, but this is the combination of multiple inheritance, and that's why using class it is not possible. Okay, so only one class extend and multiple interface implementation is possible. So we have to just remember it. Okay, and now just see the second scenario. Interface can extend from the another interface. Now just go with the second one. So suppose this is the i1 interface, and at the time of i2 I use like this interface i1. Okay, now look at the time of creating the i2, I use take a help of extends keyword and i1 interface. So i1 having already one method f1, and now it is gets inherited into the i2. Now how many methods available inside the i2 now? So that it's individual method f2 but an inherited method f1. So i2 having f1 and f2. Now here what you have to do, here only can I do like this i2, yes, and now it works. And i2 now contains how many methods? f1 as well as f2. Suppose you say, sir, how f1 is available? So you just check it. I just make a comment on this, and now it shows me error. Look, it is showing me error, correct? So type class must implement inherited abstract method i1 f1. Why? Here I am not using i1 but I am using i2, and i2 is already created with the help of i1, and i1 contains the method f1, and that's why here i2 contains f1 as well as f2. These are abstract methods, and if you want to implement it, we have to override it. Now it works. So it is a combination of extend. So interface extends interface, class implements interface, and class extends class. Okay, class can implement multiple interface can extend the multiple interfaces also. Okay, so we'll see that scenario also. First check. Now it works. Now I create another interface. That is I3. And now look, check here. So it is void F3. Okay, and now can I use like this, extends I1 comma I2. Yes, now it works, right? So I remove this. Look here, now it is showing me error because here I am using I2. So here I have to use a I3. Now it is showing me error because void F3. Look here, void F3 is not implemented. Okay, so this is the F3 you have to implement it. Add unimplemented method. The method gets added. Write the SOP statement. And this is the F3. Okay, now just save this. Okay, now it is resolved. I'll just check it. Sorry, here we have to give a call, right? obj.f3. Run the code. Now it works, right? Yes, it works. F1, F2 and F3. Okay, and now let's see. So by default, method inside the interface are public and abstract, and fields are interface are public and static, and as well as final. But the last point is important. The methods, static and default methods implementation is possible in a interface. So we will see the example on this. Just look. So in an interface here I go with this. So default keyword is available, and this is suppose an F4 I create, and this implementation is possible. And suppose I write here SOP inside the F4, and this is inside I1 interface. Okay, now look, this is known as the default method, and the similar structure is available for static, but here only static keyword is used. And this is my method F5. This is inside I1 and it is a F5 static method of I1 inside the default method of I1. So what is the meaning of this static and default method? Suppose user is not interested to implement override the F4 inside the my class. So here look, there is no any error. That means so I do one thing here. I go with the I1 and then I just remove this. I don't want F3. So now look here, I'm only working on I1. Just concentrate on this. So f2 is also not available. Okay, so I'm only working with I1, and I1 contains, look here, I1 contains only method f1, right, and default method f4 and default method, static method f5. But default method implementation is available, static method implementation is available. Now what we can do it here. So in a my class, I1 is implemented, only abstract method get overridden. Okay, others are not abstract, these are default and static methods, and default method implementation is available. That's why this method is automatically overridden inside this, inherited inside this, and that's why you can give a call to the f4 method using the object of my class. And static method, it is a class level entity, it is interface level entity, and that's why we can go with the I1 and f5. That means we can call f5 with a interface name. So we will see how to call it. Look here in a testing example. So f1 I can give a call, obj.f4 can I give a call. Look at f4 I can call it, and it is a default. Look at, it's a D. f4 I can give a call, and using I1 can I give a call to f5. Look here. So what is I1? So it is a interface name, and it is a static entity. That's why we can directly give a call using the interface. Is it okay? So just run the code, check the output. It works fine, right? It is f1, default method f4, and static method f5. So static and default implementation is possible, and it is not mandatory that you have to override those methods inside your class, because implementation is possible. That's why it is optional. So default means if user is not interested to provide the implementation of particular method from the interface, so at the time of interface declaration we can define method as a default, and we can provide some default implementation for this. That means this. Okay, and if user want to define it, you can define it. So how to define it? So we can define our own implementation, public void f4, look, and here you call inside class f4, and now check here, this is the method overridden. Now just check it, I run the code, and look, now here f4 gets called from the my class, it is not from the interface, because method is available here and object is for the my class, and that's why f4 gets called from your class. And if within your class, if the method is not available, I just make a comment and same code I run it, then default method gets called. Look at, so that is meaning of default. So if your method implementation is not available, default method gets called. If your method implementation is available inside your class, then your method gets called. Okay, and for static is a class level entity, static implementation is available, and you can directly give a call using the interface name. Okay, so I hope you clear about the how to implement the multiple interfaces and the combination of the interface and class, and how to use the default and static methods. Okay, now just again overview about this. We can give a multiple interface implementation to the class. We can extend the interface to the another interface. By default, methods and methods inside the interface are public and abstract, and fields are public, static, and final. And we can provide the implementation for static and default method inside the interface. We can override the default method, but we cannot override the static method inside the class. And we can give a call to the static method using interface name, and for default methods we can give a call using the class object, because it gets inherited. So static is a class level entity, interface level entity, and that's why it gets called on an interface name. Okay, So this is overall about the interface. So if you have any doubt, you can just ask me in a comment. I will reply. Okay, thank you.